So you're here because you want to get a better handle on your money, right? Get that feeling of control, know where your cash is actually going, and move towards those financial goals without feeling, totally deprived.
Exactly.
And this deep dive, it's all about that. Creating a budget that works, one you can actually live with.
Yeah, precisely. We've basically taken a really practical step-by-step guide and boil it down to the essentials. The goal isn't to hit you with a load of complex jargon, but to pull out the key steps, the actionable stuff, for building a budget that fits you.
Realistic gets results.
And maybe even surprises you a bit about your own spending habits along the way.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The absolute foundation. Understanding where you stand right now, financially.
Right, step one.
It sounds obvious, maybe, but taking that clear look at what's coming in and what's going out,
Yeah,
that's where it all starts.
absolutely essential. First thing, you got to nail down your monthly net income. So that's the money that actually hits your bank account after taxes, deductions, all that. And think broad here. Salary, side hustles,
Passive income?
yeah, investments, anything that regularly adds cash to your pot, get that number solid first.
And then the bit that can be, well, a real eye-opener, tracking where it all goes.
The expenses.
The guide we looked at suggests doing this really thoroughly for, what, a month? Maybe 2?
Yeah, about that. It might feel like a bit of work up front.
A chore, maybe?
It can feel like it, but honestly, you'll likely uncover spending patterns you just weren't really conscious of before. It's super valuable.
So how do you actually do the tracking? What methods work best?
Well, there are a few ways, and the best one really depends on you, what fits your style.
Oh, okay.
You could go old school, bank statements, credit card statements, grab a spreadsheet, get really hands-on.
Right, very detailed.
Or if you like things more automated, there are budgeting apps. The guide mentions Mint and YNA as examples. They can sync with your accounts and do a lot of the heavy lifting.
That sounds convenient. And the guide talked about breaking down the spending.
Yes, categorization. Super important. It divides expenses into fixed ones first.
Like rent, utilities.
Exactly, the non-negotiables. Rent or mortgage, utilities, loan payments, insurance. Stuff that's pretty much the same each month.
Got it.
Then you've got your variable expenses. These fluctuate more. Think groceries, dining out, petrol, entertainment.
The fun stuff, mostly.
Often, yeah. Or things that just change depending on the month. And finally, irregular expenses.
The sneaky ones?
Kind of. They pop up less often.
Yeah.
Annual subscriptions, maybe car maintenance, holiday gifts.
Yeah.
You need to plan for those too, even if they're not monthly.
Knowing those categories.
Yeah.
I can see how that gives you clarity.
Definitely. So once you have that snapshot income here, expenses broken down there, the next really vital step is setting your financial compass.
Defining your goals.
Exactly. Both short-term and long-term. What do you actually want this money to do for you?
Right. So short-term might be building that emergency fund we always hear about.
That's a classic, yeah. Or maybe saving for a vacation next year, something relatively near.
And long-term.
Bigger picture stuff. Paying off significant debt, student loans, mortgage, or, retirement planning. Thinking further down the road.
And it's about giving your budget purpose, essentially.
That's a great way to put it. And this stage is really where you start prioritizing. Needs versus wants.
The classic dilemma.
It is.
Yeah.
The guide gives a really clear example. Consciously deciding, okay, I'm allocating X amount to savings before I even look at money for going out or shopping.
Making those deliberate choices up front.
Yes. Directing your money intentionally.
Okay, so we know the landscape. We've got our goals. How do we structure the actual spending plan? I know the 50-30-20 rule gets mentioned a lot.
It does, and it's a really helpful starting framework for many people. It gives you a simple way to think about dividing up your after-tax income.
So break it down for us. 50% is?
50% is generally allocated to your needs. Those essentials we talked about. Housing, utilities, food, transport, insurance, minimum debt payments, the must-haves.
Okay. Half on needs, then 30%.
30% is earmarked for wants.
Yeah.
This is the more discretionary stuff. Dining out, hobbies, entertainment, shopping, subscriptions you could live without.
It's a lifestyle category.
Sort of, yeah. And the final 20%. That goes towards savings and debt repayment.
So building the emergency fund, retirement contributions.
Exactly. Or making extra payments on loans or credit cards to pay them off faster. That 20% is focused on improving your financial future.
But, and this seems important from the guide, those percentages aren't set in stone, are they?
Absolutely not. That's key. They are a guideline, a starting point. The real power comes when you adapt them to your situation and your priorities.
So give us an example. How might someone adjust it?
Well, let's say your main goal right now is crushing some high-interest debt. That's priority number one. You might decide, okay, I'm going to trim my wants category down, maybe squeeze it to 20% or even 15% for a while.
And put that extra
Towards the savings debt category.
Yeah.
So suddenly that might be 30% or 35% of your income going towards getting rid of that debt faster.
So you tailor it. Makes sense. It's flexible.
Totally flexible. It has to be to work long term.
Right. Framework established. Now the tools, how do you actually manage this day-to-day, week-to-week? What helps people stick to the plan?
Yeah, the implementation part. There are quite a few options here, catering to different preferences.
Apps seem popular.
Very. The guide mentions a couple more, like Every Dollar and Pocket Guard. These apps often automate the tracking, link to your accounts, categorize spending for you.
So they give you that real-time view of where you stand against your budget categories.
Exactly. Very visual, often quite user-friendly. Great if you like tech and automation.
What about lower tech options?
Well, there's the envelope system.
Yeah.
It's quite tangible.
Cash and envelopes, really.
Yeah. You literally take out cash for certain variable spending categories. Groceries and entertainment are common ones. Put the allocated amount in separate envelopes.
And when the envelope's empty?
That's it.
Yep.
Spending in that category stops for the month. It's a very direct way to curb overspending. Surprisingly effective for some people.
Forces discipline, I guess.
It really does. Then, of course, there are spreadsheets. Still a fantastic tool.
Like Excel or Google Sheets.
Yep. You find tons of free templates online or build your own from scratch. Offers maximum flexibility and control if you like being hands-on with the numbers.
Lots of choices then. Okay, so you've picked your tool, set up the budget, but it's not set it and forget it, right? You have to keep checking in.
Oh, absolutely not. Staying on track requires ongoing attention. It's dynamic.
How often should you review?
The guide strongly recommends weekly budget reviews. Seriously, just taking 15-20 minutes once a week to see how you're tracking against your plan.
Catches problems early.
Exactly. It prevents things from snowballing. You see where you might be overspending, where you're doing well. It keeps you engaged.
And life throws curveballs. What if you do overspend in, say, eating out one week?
Yeah, it happens. The key is flexibility, not rigidity. The guide suggests looking at other variable categories. Okay, you overspent on dining out. Maybe you need to cut back a bit on entertainment or shopping for the rest of the month to compensate.
So trading off within the wants category, maybe?
Often, yeah. Or maybe even slightly adjusting another area if needed. It's about making conscious adjustments, not just throwing your hands up.
And what about bigger things? The guide mentions stuff like job loss or medical bills.
Right. Major life events. In those cases, a quick adjustment probably isn't enough. You likely need to revisit and significantly revise the whole budget.
So the budget has to adapt.
It has to be a living document reflecting your current reality. That's crucial for it to remain useful.
Okay, let's talk about a really critical piece of this. The safety net. The emergency fund.
Yes, absolutely vital. This is your buffer against those unexpected financial shocks that can derail everything if you're not prepared.
The goal is usually cited as 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
That's the standard recommendation, yeah. Enough to cover your essential costs, rent, food, utilities, basic needs, if your income suddenly stopped.
That can sound like a lot of money. Kind of intimidating if you're starting from zero.
It definitely can feel daunting, which is why the advice to start small is so important. Don't fixate on the huge number initially.
Just get started.
Exactly. Aim for a smaller, more achievable mini fund first. The guide suggests something like $500 or $1,000.
What does that cover?
Well, it won't cover losing your job for 6 months, obviously. Yeah. But that $1,000 can handle a surprise car repair, an unexpected dental bill, a broken appliance.
The smaller emergencies that still mess up your month if you're not ready?
Precisely. It provides that initial breathing room and stops you from having to reach for a credit card or derail your debt repayment goals for every little thing. Builds momentum, too.
And how do you build it effectively?
Automation is your friend here. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account each payday.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Kind of. And the guide specifically mentions using a high-yield savings account.
Why high yield?
Because they typically offer much better interest rates than standard savings accounts, so your emergency fund grows a bit faster over time, even if just passively. Keep it separate. Make it automatic.
Smart. Okay, so we're building the fund, managing the budget. But what trips people up? What are the common challenges that make sticking to a budget so hard?
Oh, there are definitely common pitfalls. Impulse buys are a big one.
That unplanned purchase that feels so necessary in the moment.
Exactly. You see something, you want it, you buy it without thinking about the budget. The guide suggests a simple tactic, the 24-hour rule.
Wait a day before buying.
Basically, yeah. If you see something non-essential you want, force yourself to wait 24 hours. Often that cooling off period is enough for the initial urge to fade, and you realize you don't need it or it doesn't fit the budget.
Simple but effective. What else?
Credit card debt. That's a major budget killer for many. The interest charges can just eat away at any progress you're making.
So the advice is,
Ideally, pay your balance in full every single month. If that's not possible right now, or if you struggle with overspending on cards, the guide suggests maybe limiting card use. Perhaps only use one card for a specific budgeted category, like gas, or even switching primarily to debit or cash for a while.
getting control over the plastic.
Exactly. Another challenge, unrealistic cuts.
Trying to do too much, too soon.
Yeah. You decide you're going to slash your spending by 50% overnight. It feels virtuous, but it's often totally unsustainable. You feel deprived, miserable, and then you swing the other way and overspend.
So gradual changes are better.
Much better. The guide recommends making smaller, incremental reductions in spending categories. It's easier to adjust to and stick with long-term. Make it sustainable, not punitive.
That makes sense. It's a marathon, not a sprint. How about staying motivated and, accountable? It's easy to just let it glide.
Huge factors. Accountability is really powerful. One suggestion from the guide is sharing your financial goals with someone you trust.
A partner, a close friend.
Yeah, someone supportive. Just saying your goals out loud to someone else, knowing they might ask you how it's going. It adds a layer of commitment.
Makes it more real.
It does. And celebrating milestones is important too. Don't just focus on the struggle.
What kind of celebration?
Doesn't have to be extravagant. The guide suggests acknowledging wins, like paying off a credit card completely. Maybe treat yourself to something small, a low-cost reward that acknowledges the achievement without blowing the budget. Reinforces the positive behavior.
Nice. Any other motivation tips?
Visual reminders can work wonders for some people. Simple stuff. Post your main financial goal on your fridge. Make it your phone's wallpaper.
Keep it front and center.
Exactly. Seeing that goal regularly can just help keep your why you're doing this top of mind when temptation strikes.
We talked about automation for the emergency fund. Can it help elsewhere too?
Oh, absolutely. Streamlining through automation is a game changer for consistency.
Like automating bill payments.
Definitely. Setting up automatic payments for recurring bills, utilities, loans, subscriptions helps you avoid late fees, which are just wasted money. Plus, it's one less thing to manually manage.
And savings contributions too.
Yes. Automate transfers to your savings goals, retirement accounts, investment accounts. Do it right after payday. The guide points out this pay-yourself-first approach reduces the temptation to spend money that should be going towards those goals.
Makes budgeting less effortful over time.
Significantly less.
Yeah.
Takes willpower out of the equation for those recurring tasks.
Okay, so we're automating, staying motivated. What about checking progress overall? Is there a need for like a bigger picture review?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That regular weekly check-in is crucial for day-to-day management. But the guide also stresses the importance of a month-end spending analysis.
Looking back at the whole month.
Yeah. Taking some dedicated time. Sit down with your tracking tool, the app, the spreadsheet, whatever, and really look at where the money went over the entire month.
And ask some key questions.
Right. The guide suggests questions like, did I actually meet my savings goals this month? Where did I consistently overspend? Were there any surprise expenses I didn't anticipate? And, crucially, how can I adjust things next month to do better or stay on track?
Continuous improvement, basically.
Exactly. It's about learning from the previous month to make the next one more successful. Budgeting isn't static. It's an ongoing process of refinement.
It really feels like when you boil it all down, discipline is the secret sauce here.
It truly is. Consistency. Making those conscious choices day after day, week after week. That's what builds long-term success.
It's easy to lose sight of that sometimes.
It is. Which is why it's so important to keep reminding yourself of the why. Remember the long-term benefits the guide talks about, that feeling of financial freedom, reduced stress about money, being able to afford your goals.
Those are powerful motivators.
They really are. Keep that bigger picture in mind when you're tempted to just ditch the budget.
And what if you do slip up? Have a bad week or month?
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed. The absolute key, according to the guide, is not to see it as total failure and give up.
Don't abandon ship.
Exactly. Acknowledge it, figure out what went wrong, learn from it, reset, and just get back on track next week or next month. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Those small, consistent efforts compound massively over time.
So wrapping it up then, building a budget that actually sticks isn't about some magic formula.
No, not at all. It's really about the diligent tracking, knowing where your money goes. It's about setting clear, prioritized goals, knowing where you want it to go. And it's about flexibility, being able to adapt when life inevitably changes.
Diligence, goals, and adaptability.
Yeah, that's the core of it.
Okay, so here's something for you, the listener, to think about as we finish up. What is one small, concrete, actionable step you could take today, like right now, to get a little more control over your financial future? And maybe think about how consistently applying just one of these ideas, tracking, automating savings, the 24-hour rule, how could that start to fundamentally shift your financial well-being over, say, the next year? What difference could that one consistent change make?
If you found this discussion informative, please like, subscribe, and share this channel to get daily discussions on a current economic topic.